Okay, so this is not necessarily a blind reacts. This is more of a, well, I've never, I guess it is in a sense, it's blind reacts, because I've never read this letter. But they recently released a letter for Erik Menendez, or for and obviously there's an uptick because of the Menendez brothers case that has received sort of like this rejuvenation because I think back in the 80s or 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And I was born in the late 80s, so I was, just being born when all of this is going down or what have you. But so the Menendez brothers had unalived their parents in their home. And at the time, many people, the landscape was not open to the consideration, I don't think, of assault on men. And so part of that was in the case, in the first case when they got hung jury, but in the second case, because Erik had, I think it was Lyle, had actually said some things on tape, and he was trying to get a book deal or a movie deal or something like that, is how the Netflix special portrays it. They lost out on the opportunity to talk about or bring in assault from their father, the assault of their father, or the assault that their father did on them. They lost the opportunity to bring that in the second case, and so it resulted in them getting life in prison and things of that nature. And again, the resurgence comes from this Monsters series on Netflix, and then the new documentaries coming out, and partially the release of this letter from the DA. And so just going to read this letter and see what we find, see what they got. So this is coming from Erik. Erik is 13 at the time. He's in high school. This is to his cousin, I think, Andy Kato. Andy Kato passed in 03 due to an overdose, but again, on his dad's side. And so this is what's being said. So hello, Andy. How are you doing? I hope better than I am. It's been a long time since we've been in touch. Too long. I wish we could have seen each other during Thanksgiving. We almost did. We were all set to go, and then my parents decided not to at the last minute. Mom said flights were too expensive. Bruh, come on, mama. Flights are too expensive. She said we could wait for Christmas, but now that's a little concerning. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's a little concerning that she would say that. They're millionaires. Flights are too expensive. What are you talking about? But now they decided that I'm playing the Fiesta Bowl, and that is not worth it just to fly out for a few days. I was all excited to see you and some high school buddies, but I'll have to wait a little, I guess. So, okay. Not to try to read bias into it. So there seems like a little bit of control. I mean, I would think the opposite. I would think there seems, I thought that, it's just a 3-page letter, by the way. I thought there was a little control coming from, I thought, Joseph was the controller, but it seems like Kitty has a little bit of control here too. And again, I'm not making a judgment one way or the other, but there seems like there's a little bit of a restriction there, according to this letter. And he's 13. So I have to wait. Mom and Dad had a company party here, and Dad had people decorate the whole house. I'm in the second paragraph now. The whole house, and bought a huge tree that they bought down from Santa Barbara. Actually, they had to bring 3 since Mom didn't actually like the way the rest have looked. They were pissed. They also decorated the tree. Where's the Christmas They also decorated the tree. Where's the Christmas spirit in that? So I guess they wanted to be involved in the decoration of the tree, but brought a tree down from Santa Barbara, and then their parents decorated the tree instead of allowing them the opportunity to. Okay, cool. I remember where Lyle and I used to. I remember when Lyle and I used to decorate it. Times change, huh? This is 13-year-old talking like this. At least I got to put up my own stocking. Okay. And one for Rudy and Velvet, who are 5, by the way. Mom isn't doing too good. It's like she's here physically, but mentally she's not. She's just like gone, if you know what I mean. She freaks out over nothing. I feel bad for her. I don't know why she puts up with Dad. That's page 1. It's interesting. Second page. At times I wish I could talk to her about, and that's kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Wonder what the dynamic was with the husband then. Because if Dad is making Mom crazy and Mom's making the sons crazy, it seems like there's a chain right there. But again, like I'm not trying to base this off of what I've seen in the videos or anything or the movies. I'm just basing this off of this. You know, they had some interviews where they weren't too forthcoming, but they insinuated that there was some abuse in the Barbara Walters interview that I did. It's earlier in the channel, but yeah. So at times I wish I could talk to her about things, you know. Some I don't know what that word is. Someday, okay, you know, someday, especially Dad and I, especially Dad and I. But the way she worships him and tells him everything, I'm so afraid she'll tell him whatever I say. I just can't risk it. I think that's a real rational fear. I remember, man, when our dad used to discipline us when we were kids, man, we used to go tell my mom, or if my dad said anything, we used to go tell my mom. It's like, man, Dad, you're so mean. And then my dad would call us in the room, and then he would repeat stuff that we had said, and then we'd be looking at each other like, did you go tell him? You know, and then he'd be like, your mom tells me that y'all say I'm so mean and this and that. I'm not mean if y'all just learn to do what I tell you to do, so on and so forth. So like, I get that. I rock with that. Lyle got in a huge fight with her over why we couldn't spend Christmas with the rest of the family, and Mom freaked out and said if he wanted to go, he could go alone. Man, this is toxic, bro. And said if he wanted to go, he could go alone. I just don't know why she even wants him like that. I don't know why she wants to hurt him like that. Like Lyle. Hurt him like that. Lyle wanted to stay, but Dad wouldn't let him. So now I'm stuck here alone. I've been trying to avoid Dad. It's still happening, Andy, but it's worse for me now. So he's saying that Lyle wanted to stay, but Dad wouldn't let him stay. And so he's stuck here alone. So there was a separation of Lyle and Erik for some reason. So now Erik is alone. It's still happening, Andy, but it's worse for me now. I can't explain it. He's so overweight that I can't stand to see him. That's crazy. He didn't even say he's so overweight that it's just weighing me down or it's hurting me. He said it's so overweight I can't stand to see him. I wonder if it's almost like, yo, this is something that he's accepted, and it's just like, yo, I got to do what I got to do, you know. But I've already maybe in previous letters he's talked about how nasty, and we're assuming that he's talking about being assaulted by his dad here, but he didn't even mention in this letter the fact that maybe how the weight affects him just in terms of, being overweight or overburdened by the weight, but I can't stand to see him because of it. That's interesting. I never know when it's going to happen, and it's driving me crazy. Every night I stay up thinking he might come in. I've heard that. I know a couple of people who this has happened to, and they've kind of had the same story. They kind of had the same story. They stay up all night. Their mind just runs all night long, thinking about, and I mean like all night long, they don't get sleep, thinking about being assaulted by their family members and stuff like that. So I've definitely heard that before. Stay up thinking he might come in. I need to put it out of my mind. I know what you said before, but I'm afraid you just don't know Dad like I do. He's crazy. He's warned me 100 times about telling on anyone, especially Lyle. That's interesting because there seems like a separation, because Lyle was saying that, he has been assaulted by his dad. And so he's, seems like Joseph is trying to keep them separate here, which is, why he would actively basically keep Lyle somewhere else in this instance, keep Lyle somewhere else. And then so he could, kind of do his business alone. Man, this is so crazy, man. In light of talking about the John Ramsey thing, man, this is tough. I need to put it out of my mind. I know what you said before, but I'm afraid you just don't know Dad like I do. He's crazy. He warned me 100 times about telling anyone, especially Lyle. And something about serious wimp. I don't know if I'll make it through this. I can handle it. Yeah, I can handle it, Andy. I need to stop thinking about it. Anyway, I hope you're doing good. How is your new girlfriend? I think Allison. She sounds pretty great. When do I get to meet her? I can see why. On the last paragraph here, I can see why you don't want to leave Puerto Rico. Something I hear, you're playing a lot of soccer. That's great. I love soccer. Too bad I had to. Last page. Too bad I had to go. So he was trying to go to Puerto Rico, I guess, and they wouldn't let him for a few days. I guess that makes sense. How many laps can you do? How many lap ups can you do, or tap ups, whatever can you do? I'm glad to see that the school's easy for you, man. This is a common way to end a letter. It's pretty common way to end a letter. Yeah, it's pretty common. I'm glad to see that school is easy for you. Sounds a little too, so there must have been a letter from Andy before. Sounds a little too easy, though. Are you something next year? Next year is the important 11th grade transcripts are what colleges look at. Next year is the important year. Man, I wonder what that means. Next year is the important year. 11th grade transcripts are what colleges look at. So he might be in 9th grade at this point. I'm doing okay so far with school. My tennis gets in the way some, but next year is an important year. I think if I really do well in tennis, Mom and Dad will ease up some, just in time for me to start college at Brown. Okay, or Berkeley. Okay, Brown. I see you. Anyway, I'm playing something. I'm playing great. We really like our new coach, Mark. He beat Lyle 6-0. 6 love. Okay. beat Lyle Six Love. The first set they played, it was so bad. Lyle even had to laugh. Yeah, no, man, he beat Six Love, bro. Well, I'm going to go, buddy. I'm going to go, buddy. If it's getting late and I don't feel well, keep in touch. Hopefully, I'll see you soon. Until then, God bless you and Merry Christmas. Right, the little, I miss you. Love for Christmas to come. For Christmas to be, for Christmas to come. Man, that's really tough. That's really tough. So documenting here, the what we're seeing, man, it's a little tough to read that, especially with, and the thing about it is, man, when you think about this in the context of this whole John Bonet thing that we're talking about, that kids all over go through stuff like this. And I just think, and I'm not casting blame on anybody, I'm just saying that we don't have an effective system to combat something like this. And kids are kids, man. Kids don't know how to protect themselves. They don't know who to call. They just don't know. And adults, unfortunately, sometimes, have their own way, their own demons that they're fighting, and they don't always handle things well. And we talk about, a lot of times we talk about the ego and the super ego and the ID, and that ID being the most primal thoughts of an individual. And so we see on full display what Erik is saying here is, the most primal thoughts of my dad. No doubt that he's putting pressure on the mom. And so it seems like Joseph has this whole thing, this whole ring going. And it paints a picture of Joseph as this sort of mastermind, this mastermind that is controlling the house. And I'm pretty sure the way the Monster series portrayed it, that, and I think even in some of the earlier interviews that I have on my page, they talked about how Kitty knew what it was, and they were upset that she didn't help. And so, if this is the case, if this is to be believed, then first of all, we can see the motivation here for eventually why. And I talked about on those videos, I took more of a stance of looking at the emotions and less about catering to understanding their assault, but more so understanding the emotions. And we can see if this was 13 and they got to 18, then that was 5 years in between, right? At least for Erik, he wrote this when he was 13, he got to 18, and that's when they did what they did at 18, right? If I'm getting the stories correct. So they did what they did at 18, he did what he did at 18. Lyle was a little bit older. And so if that's the case, then this is something that he's been festering on. This is a lot of pressure to live under consistently. It just makes me wonder about Joseph. What was Joseph, and I think the movie, the movie or the show on Netflix portrayed that weirdly that Joseph had a bout of that, and he was upset with his parents for not protecting him. But here we see that, Erik is saying, well, Dad, you're the same thing that you were upset about not being protected from is the same thing that you're doing to me. And I think a lot of times that happens is that the parents often repeat some of the misfortunes that happen to them to the kids, or if they don't repeat it, they stand by and watch sometimes. And so it's very unfortunate. But that's the video. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe. And until the next video, take it easy.